time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Anjanadu Dangoda, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. The President says Sri Lanka could rectify the mistakes of the past. Price of MOP fertilizer reduced by 4,500 rupees. Colombo International Container Terminals attracts new service to Colombo, adds connectivity on USA route. Veteran singer Christopher Paul passes away at the age of 87. Foreign news, a baby among 4 children found alive in Amazon 17 days after surviving plane crash. Sports news, New Zealand women team to tour Sri Lanka. Local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, during a meeting with ministry secretaries and provincial chief secretaries, expressed confidence that the proper implementation of the government's policy program would lead to economic prosperity, surpassing the goals set by the International Monetary Fund. He stressed the need for the collective effort to address the concerns raised by the youth regarding the country's economy and their future. The President emphasized the importance of restructuring state-owned companies to ensure a prosperous economy and urged ministry secretaries to support the government's policy program rather than protecting companies under their jurisdiction. He also highlighted the forthcoming regulations on capital expenditure and projects of provincial councils, with decisions on power distribution at the local level expected within the next few months. The meeting covered the progress of budget proposals, the performance of the ministry secretaries, and discussions on public enterprise reconciliation, public service management, and the economy. Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaravira said the price committee has approved to reduce the price of MOP fertilizer by 4,500 rupees this Yala season. In the last March season, the 2 government-owned fertilizer companies sold a bag of 50 kg MOP fertilizer at a price of 19,500 rupees each. Also, the private sector sold a bag of MOP fertilizer at a price of 22,500 rupees each. The Minister of Agriculture said the price committee, which met on 8th of May, approved this proposal to reduce the price of MOP fertilizer to 15,000 rupees, keeping in mind the aim of reducing the cost of agricultural production in the Yala season. Colombo International Container Terminals has announced the maiden call of a new service to the port of Colombo that will connect Sri Lanka with the east coast of the United States via Asia, strengthening another important trade route for exporters and importers and making Sri Lanka more accessible to global markets. Commenting on the launch of the new shipping service, CICT CEO Mr. Jack Wang said, "One of our key contributions to the Port of Colombo is our ability to attract new services that enhance connectivity and volumes. This is due to the efficiency and productivity standards that we have achieved and consistently maintained throughout the operational years." CICT, being part of the global network of China Merchants Port Holdings Company Limited, has invested to add deep water capacity and introduce a state-of-the-art infrastructure and process which have enabled our customers to enjoy international service levels. We were delighted to welcome the new AA7 service of the Shanghai lines to Colombo and look forward to facilitating many more new services at CICT and Port of Colombo. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, veteran musician and singer Christopher Emmanuel Paul has passed away at the age of 87. Family sources said he passed away at his residence this morning. Christopher Emmanuel Paul, who was born on the 10th of April 1936, was a sought-after singer since late 1950s and was regular at both Indo and Urdu concerts. He was a certified Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation singer who was popular among people with hits such as Ha Malpipenne, Aladula Ganga, Vaturanala and many more Sinhala pop music. The Colombo High Court today fixed dates for the hearing of the case filed against Sakwithi Ranasinghe and his wife for allegedly maintaining an unauthorized financial institution and misusing the deposits obtained from the public. Accordingly, Colombo High Court Judge Aditya Pattabandike ordered the case to be taken up for hearing on July 19th. The defendant, Sakwithi Ranasinghe and his wife, who are currently being released under bail, were also present at the courts today. Previously, 9 other suspects who were arrested in relation to the case had been released under the directives of the Attorney General. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
A fundamental rights petition has been filed requesting the Supreme Court to order the Inspector General Police to arrest Pastor Jerome Fernando and to take legal action against him for allegedly making remarks demeaning the other religions. The FR petition has been presented by a group including Venerable L.D. Gunabansathero and several others. The petition was presented to the Supreme Court seeking the issuing of an order to the IGP and the respondents to arrest Pastor Jerome Fernando for making a statement that is offensive to religions and to enforce the law against him. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, Sri Lanka Police today issued a clarification about a misleading post widely circulated on social media. In its media release, the Police Media Division addressed a viral social media post which made reference to an alleged public notice by the Akmemana Police with regard to the group of individuals attempting to abduct children. Nevertheless, the Akmemana Police have not issued any such public notice, Sri Lanka Police noted, dismissing the social media post in question as fake. In addition, any such child abductions or abduction attempts were not reported either from Akmemana or Yakalamala Police Divisions, the Police Media Division said, citing the officer in charge of Akmemana Police. Hence, the members of the public are urged not to fall prey to such misleadings, fake posts circulated on social media. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. A baby among 4 children found alive in Amazon 17 days after surviving plane crash. Canada seeks foreign help to fight spreading wildfires. China shuts down over 100,000 fake news social media accounts. World news in detail. 4 Colombian children have been found alive in Amazon more than 2 weeks after the plane they were in crashed into the dense jungle. On 1st May, a Cessna 206 plane carrying 7 people on a route between Araquara and Amazonas province and San Jose del Guevara, a city in Guevara province, issued a Mayday alert due to engine failure, reported Reuters. 3 adults, including the pilot, died in the crash and their bodies were found inside the plane. The 4 children, aged 13, 9 and 4, as well as an 11-month-old baby, survived the impact. On Wednesday, President Gustavo Petro said in a statement on Twitter that the children had been found. The children were rescued by members of the military, firefighters and civil aviation authority officials in the dense jungle of the Colombia's Caqueta province. Canada has called for foreign help to combat wildfires burning out of the control and spreading across vast swaths of the western half of the country. The fires that have devastated the oil-producing Alberta province have in recent days spread to neighboring British Columbia and Saskatchewan. as well as the Northwestern Territories. Some 2,500 firefighters from across Canada, backed by 400 military personnel, have been deployed across Alberta to try to tame the wildfires, which have already burned more than 500,000 hectares of forest and grasslands and destroyed many homes and businesses. But they aren't enough, officials said. China has intensified efforts to clean up the Internet from false news and rumors, closing more than 100,000 online accounts over the past month that misrepresented news anchors and media agencies, its cyberspace regulator said. The Cyberspace Administration of China launched a special campaign to clean up online information, focusing on social media accounts that disseminate fake news and impersonates state-controlled media. The regulator said it had wiped 107,000 accounts of counterfeit news units and news anchors and 835,000 pieces of fake news information since April 6th. The cleaning up comes as China and countries across the globe grapple with the onslaught of fake news coverage online, with many implementing laws to punish culprits. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. A baby among 4 children found alive in Amazon 17 days after surviving plane crash. Canada seeks foreign help to fight spreading wildfires. China shuts down over 100,000 fake news social media accounts. That ends World News.
Development News.
The Treasury has given an amount of 751 million rupees to the National Housing Development Authority to resume work on unfinished houses of the A House for You, A Future for the Country Housing Assistance Project. This housing project was suspended for almost 4 months due to lack of sufficient financial provisions. The Treasury has provided the fund in response to a request made by the Minister of Urban Development and Housing, Prasanna Ranatunga, from the government. The National Housing Development Authority says that the construction works of 2,265 houses under the Housing Assistance Project, which have been stopped, will be resumed soon. That came to you on Development News. Moving on to sports news, the New Zealand national women's team will tour Sri Lanka from June and July 2023. Sri Lanka Cricket said in a statement that the New Zealand national women's team will participate in an ODI and T20 international series. The SLBC further stated that the ODI series is played as a part of the ICC Women's Championship. The New Zealand team will arrive in Sri Lanka on June 23rd of 2020, it added. That ends sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB I Am, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
LOLC Finance has nobly patronaged the Theravada Buddhist event of the Tattha Vinaya Pitaka Sajjayana at Samopatha Vinaya Summit 2023. This event is scheduled to be held on 18th to 21st of this month at Theravada Buddhist Education Faculty Saddhatisara Mahavihara at Katukeliyawa, Anuradhapura. As a leading financial service company, we at LOLC Finance believe that the most meaningful way of us to contribute towards social development is through the promotion of financial inclusion. Thus, we seek to promote and foster entrepreneurship to address the national issues such as unemployment and social inequality. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all-new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, Central Bank has terminated a cash margin requirement on the import rates of the credit imposed over the previous 12 months to limit him as liquidity injection triggered forex shortage and a currency collapse. In an order issued under the monetary law, the central bank imposed a 100% cash deposit margin on 843 imports in May 19th of 2022 and February 16th of 2023 to discourage imports. Both orders were removed in a new directive issued by the Domestic Operations Department. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
The Met Department says showers of thunderstorms will occur at a few places in western, Sabaragamuwa, central and eastern provinces and in Gol, Matara, Kurunegala, Polonnaruwa and Mullaitivu districts during the evening or night. A few showers may occur in western coastal areas and in southern province during the morning too. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The President says Sri Lanka could rectify the mistakes of the past. Price of MOP fertilizer reduced by 4,500 rupees. Colombo International Container Terminals attracts new service to Colombo, adds connectivity on USA route. Veteran singer Christopher Paul passes away at the age of 87. Foreign news, a baby among 4 children found alive in Amazon 17 days after surviving plane crash. Sports news, New Zealand women's team to tour Sri Lanka. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka.